It meant a great deal. I was such a huge fan of the original, and when I had originally approached John to do the show, and we were originally pitching it, I was just going to come on board as an executive producer, and that was really as far as I thought I would. That's as far as my involvement I thought would go on this. Um, but in getting to know John, and as the pilot script came together, I just kept on thinking to myself, I'm gonna be kicking myself for years if I don't do this. I'm gonna be I feel like such a dummy that I didn't. And that a great deal of that, number one, had to do with getting to work opposite John, getting to say the great words that were on the page, and also having the honor of to follow in Harry Stone's footsteps in this role, being such a tremendous fan of his, and the magic that he created on the show. It's not a job that I take lightly, both as playing the character, and then also just as a human, being such a fan of both Harry Stone and Harry Anderson. It was such a dream, like dream of dreams, to have her on the show. And it was very hard to keep it secret, especially as we started to do press for the show, and people say, like, anyone that you think of having back, and they would sometimes bring her, and I would so badly wanted to tell them. But we also wanted to keep that moment, because the moment in the studio audience was, I think, one of my top 5 favorite moments ever at a live taping of a show. Watching Marsha come out and seeing her stand across from John, I mean, I had tears streaming down my face. There was, we have, in the audience, we're lucky enough to have a lot of people who come who are fans of the original, and they come back sometimes, week after week. And so I looked over to see some of the people that I knew had been fans of the original, and the guy did a double take, and I saw him grab the person next to him, he's going, "It's Marsha," and he was going, "Oh my God, oh my God." And watching the audience and watching them, there was such an electricity in the air, and I so badly wanted to tell everyone about that electricity. I actually haven't really done much press since that moment aired. This is one of the first times I'm talking about it, and
Yeah.
it was so cool. And then to have Marsha come back for the first episode of this season was just a dream, getting to be in the chambers. And there's the couch in that room that is the couch from the original.
Mhm.
And it's standing there with John and Marcia. I so had to, like, I kept on being like, keep your chill, because it was just so exciting to get to be in a scene with the two of them. I think it's something that's been really important to us, even as we were developing the pilot, that it definitely pays homage to the original, and that we have all these nuggets and special Easter eggs for fans of the original. I personally want that as a fan of the original. While also letting it stand on its own for people who may not necessarily have been a fan of it the first go around. Um, and I love whenever we can, getting in those moments where we talk about it, Harry, or um, now we're, getting to revisit everything with Marcia in the first episode back. And I think you're right. It's definitely finding that balance, because we don't necessarily want things in there that people who have seen the original, that only they would understand. So, and I think there's a universality to the fact that whether you've seen the original or not, you know that this character of Abby is following in her father's footsteps. And I think anyone, whether they've seen the original or not, can relate to someone who is also there because they're maybe making up for a little bit of lost time that they missed out on with a parent who's no longer there. And I think that that's a really special thing to be able to play, that not only are we sort of giving a wink and a nod and a thank you to the fans of the original, but then also to anyone else who just happens to love someone. um I think we're trying to create those moments, and I think that's something that's been really nice coming into the second season, is keeping in mind that one of my favorite things that came out of the first season was talking to people who watched and saying, something that I really liked about this is it reminds me of watching this show with my mom or dad who's not here anymore. And that to me is the greatest compliment that I can receive from this show, is having this be a little bit of a time machine for people to feel like they're reconnecting with someone that's not here. I know that that's something that's special for me about the show. And if that can be a little gift for anyone who's watching, that it just means the world. It's been a great learning experience. And I think what's been really nice about this experience in particular is, like I had mentioned, I had uh, no plans to do both on this show, and it sort of happened organically because of my love for both John and the writing that was happening. Um, and so I think because of that, and how it happened so naturally, there's and the fact that John was also an executive producer on the show, it's sort of this feeling of, when we're talking about what's coming up or stories that we want to do, it's a very natural discussion both as actors and producers. And I think that um there's John, as we were developing this, was so integral to that process. And he was, as we cracked what Dan Fielding was going to be like in this new 2.0 version of him, he was so involved in that. And I think um, we how we sort of set up how we work together really happened before I was ever going to be starring on this show. We sort of worked together as a creative team, and then that sort of just bled into us working together. So there's a really nice shorthand in how we work together, both as producers and as actors. And I can't say enough good things about the guy. It's just a dream come true to be working with him. And I step onto these sets that, like I mentioned, has the original couch, and the chairs are the same in the cafeteria. They were the original. And as a TV nerd as a kid, getting to come here every day, like even the other day, I took an ice chip home, like a fake. I'm gonna sound so weird. Maybe props department's gonna come, but it's like a fake ice cube from the cafeteria. And like as a kid, like the kid version of me, but like I would have lost my mind that I have an ice cube chip from the cafeteria. And like I brought it home to show my kids. I was way more excited about it. They were, but I'm like, I had a chip from the night court cafeteria. I'm like, but that's like the excitement that I have every day to be here. It's really cool. There's so much I've learned from him. Um, I think he's truly, like, I call him an Olympic athlete of the multi-camera sitcom. And watching him in front of a live studio audience, it's mind-blowing. Like there is truly nothing like it. And I think there's the I think watching him and the um it's really a relationship almost, and like a rhythm that you form with the audience, and it informs so much of what you're doing. And it's so beautiful to get to watch him on a show night, and how he's really a musician. And he's a musician as well. He's but there's a musicality to how he performs in front of an audience that is, it's like watching jazz. And to study him doing that, you're truly watching a musician do comedic jazz in front of a studio audience. And it's amazing. It's really cool to see. I think she's going to be trying to see what the city has to offer, going on some first dates. There's a episode working on now that's a double date with her and Olivia, which is very going to be a lot of fun to play. And really like her realizing that she hasn't been in the dating world for quite some time, and just putting herself out there and what that looks like, even her trying to create her first online dating profile and what that looks like. And I think there's a lot of fun to be had in seeing this version and this side of Abby.